Welcome back to opinionsaretefree.com. It's a site where you can leave your opinion on any number of topics. And unlike some other social media sites, we don't allow replies, which means that you're not going to be bitch slapped or punched verbally or by the keyboard if someone doesn't like your opinion. We ask you to leave your opinion. We ask them to leave their opinions on the topic, not on your opinion. That's called criticism. And it doesn't really help to have that criticism when there's nothing really being discussed by someone's dislike of someone else's comment. Which is why we decided to be the way it is. So I want to talk to you about a topic, and I'm going to ask you a question. Is it going to be the carrot or the stick that's going to entice you, us, to accept fully tracked digital currency? So right now, if you go out and make a transaction and you use, one of these things, a credit card or a bank card or even a gift card, there's some ability to track where the money has flowed. So if I go out and buy a $20 gift card for ABC, retailer, or whatever, and I give it to you, and you take that card and you go buy some stuff at that retailer, and you buy object A, B, or C, there's some reasonable ability for an authority, if they really needed to request the information to get that travel flow of funds. They know it came from this store, they sold it to me because they got my credit card on record. The card went to somebody, and that somebody went and bought some objects at the store, which may have been used for the proceeds of a crime. Who knows? The point is that there's some ability there, although the system right now is still a little bit on the crude side. Now, if you contribute currently to a cause and the government deems that that cause is not within its liking, they can turn around and shut off your funds, take the funds back, shut off the ability for the other individual or group to receive your funds. And that was fully evident with what happened up in Ottawa when the truckers were trying to protest against some of the C restrictions, and the accounts were frozen. And even the accounts of people who were trying to contribute were frozen. And that really was a chilling thing. I'm not trying to make a pun. It was also the freaking cold part of the year. But no puns. I'm just saying that it was a very, very, very chilling example of how the government can go in there to basically stop you from doing something if they deem that is something they don't want you to do. Now, if the government wants to implement this, which of course they do, they're going to use either the carrot or the stick. So what will the stick be? What will the fear be? There might be a sudden outburst of digital crime, people's bank accounts being wiped out and whatever. And the government may say, the only way to stop this is to have a fully implemented digital system so that we can track where that money goes, and that way you don't have to live in fear that your money is going to be taken. Now, if that happens, if that system is put in place, I can guarantee that the banks will have a loophole so that if the money does disappear, they're going to be covered, either through an insurance program or somewhere, but they won't lose. But that's a different topic altogether. We'll talk about banks another day. Another possible carrot will be the benefit of the digital currency, though. The government will say, tell you what, if you sign on, we'll give you an extra $100 just for using the system. You see how good it is. Now, if you are strapped for cash, if you're unemployed, if you're, working 4 jobs to try to pay your rent, you're going to take that $100 because you're desperate. It's an unfortunate reality that when the economy weakens, people will do things they otherwise wouldn't do. Now, we are also looking at a situation because of a number of events that have happened that have left us in a current situation where we don't have a lot of tax money coming in, or at least not as much as we should. What I mean is this: the Big C forced closures, and those closures meant that businesses either weren't bringing in income and they weren't paying tax, or they had to close down altogether because they just couldn't survive. So obviously the tax inputs have gone down, and governments all over the place right now are in debt. Now, we also look at the unfortunate war that's draining some coffers. We look at the inflation situation, which is making it more difficult for people to get ahead. And again, if they're not earning money, they're not paying taxes. And if they're not buying as much, they're not paying as much in tax. Now, in the short run, inflation causes a tax benefit to governments because you're being taxed at a higher rate, really. But when the amount of consumption drops down, which is what they're raising interest rates to do, then the actual amount of tax that goes in is lowered. So now we have this tax hole. And the government will likely say, you know what? We really should increase the income taxes. We really should increase the taxes on goods and services, but we don't want to do that because we love you so much. So what we're going to do is this. With this newly fully implemented digital tracking system, we can make sure that all of those tax evading so-and-sos out there pay their fair share of taxes. And that way, we don't have to raise your taxes to compensate for the taxes that they're robbing from you, you poor soul. Those terrible crooks. And people will say, sure, why not? Now, in reality, you've lost all your privacy. You've lost all your ability to buy and sell anything without being taxed if you're making an income. So here's an example. You're going down the street and you see kids selling lemonade and cookies to raise funds for their dollhouse, for their bicycle, for their soccer club, doesn't matter what it is. So you transfer funds from your device to their device, or if they're not old enough to have a device, which means they're younger than 3, to the parent's device. Now that is a transaction, and that transaction is going to be taxable on the other side as income. So at that point, the government may say, we can't tax a 4-year-old who's selling cookies, but to be fair to everybody and to be, more inclusive, whatever that is, we need to tax the household's complete income as opposed to individuals in the household. Because if you have 4 individuals in a household and some of them are making very low incomes, they may be underneath the threshold to paying in tax. Whereas if you put them in as a household income, that's going to be avoided. So all of a sudden, that cookie is taxable. That lemonade is taxable. You go to a garage sale, you buy a record album, of the Supertramp, whatever. The only person on the block who likes Supertramp, you still have a shag rug in your basement and panel wood, like I do. And you give the guy $20, digital $20. That person has now earned $20, which is now taxable at whatever rate your jurisdiction imposes. There's no avoidance. So that will be the carrot, actually, because they're giving you the benefit, but really, there's no benefit really to you. You're just being taxed at a different rate, but you just don't know it because they made it sound so enticing, right? It's like that extra layer of fudge. You don't realize afterwards that it kind of builds up there. Anyways, opinionsarethree.com. If you have an opinion on this topic or any of the topics, I want you to log on. Well, don't have to log on. Just go to the site. Pick any topic you want. Read the preamble. Watch the video if you can stand looking at me. And leave an opinion. You cannot leave a reply to someone else's opinion. You can only leave an opinion. And then I want you to like this page. Before you leave, just hit like, because I need you to hit like on this page. And if you want to, please subscribe. And I hope to get more of these videos out on topics that really we should be discussing, but more often than not, we're not discussing for various reasons we will get into on another topic. Have a great day. Opinionsarethree.com. You have a right to an opinion, even if I don't like it. Thanks.